Welcome to drawing practice number 4. In this lesson, we're going to be drawing a tube. Some important vocabulary words. Taper, 1-point perspective, and vanishing point. Okay, let's think about this. So to make a tube, what I want to draw is kind of like a cylinder, right? But if I'm thinking about, say, a straw, the cylinder has a hole in it. But I want to draw it laying down on the ground so someone could like crawl through it. That's a tube. Okay, but the other thing I want to draw is, just like we did with our round holes, I want to show that this tube goes back in space. So the back of it is going to be smaller than the front of it, just like how we used proportion to make the holes closer to us bigger than the holes further from us in the last lesson. So to do this, I'm going to use 1-point perspective. I start with a horizon line, and then I draw this one dot, kind of in the middle. You can draw it anywhere you want, so long as the dot is on the horizon line. So the horizon line is the viewer's eye level, and this dot here is called the vanishing point. The vanishing point has the word vanish in it, right? Vanish is like disappear. So the vanishing point is where all lines are going to appear to converge or meet. So if I start with my oval, I can draw straight lines to meet the top and the bottom of the oval towards the vanishing point. But I have to cut off the back of this at some point, so it's a tube, right? So there's another end of it. And I do that by drawing another oval that fits in between these two lines. Let me erase some of this so you can visualize it a little better. And here I have a tube that's laying on the ground so someone could crawl through it, and it's going back in space. Okay, so here we go. We're going to draw now. So I start by drawing the horizon line and draw a vanishing point on it. Next, start with an oval or circle-like shape, and then draw lines from the top and bottom towards the vanishing point. Cut off the back with another oval. So these lines, as they go back towards the vanishing point, they taper or they get closer together. Now, if you want to, think about like those tubes at the playground that sometimes people crawl through, and how they're often made up of different sections. I'm using these curved lines, they're like contour lines, right? To help show the form of this tube. Now, the idea here is that this kind of helps you visualize what we're drawing, but also I can use proportion here to make the tube look even more like it's going back into space. So the sections in the front are wider than the sections in the back. Okay, so now we have the basic tube drawn, and I'm going to start by just laying down my dark value here because I know the inside of my tube, where there's negative space, right? It's empty, you can crawl through it. There's definitely going to be a dark shadow in there. I also note that the outsides of my tubes are going to have a couple different middle and light tones on them. And I'm using some curved lines as I shade that. And then finally, I can add a cast shadow. I'm just putting a simple one down, and it kind of helps set the tube solidly on the ground. Okay, let's take a second and review our vocabulary words. So taper is how those lines got closer together the closer they got to the vanishing point. We used 1 point perspective, so we had a single vanishing point on our horizon line. That point was called the vanishing point.